Succession is one of those series that we can consider to be a modern masterpiece. It has been widely popular and critically well acclaimed. The actors within the series received multiple awards, and they have earned it. The atmosphere, the writing, and the tone of the series is so interesting that you could not stop watching once you have started, especially with shows that you consider critically well acclaimed. It may start slow and maybe challenge your attention span for a bit before rewarding you. However, Succession is different. In fact, the sheer brilliance of its writing is perfectly showcased within the first hour of its runtime. In this video, I would like to discuss how Succession delivered an amazing concept and perfectly executed its theme in its very first episode. Every movie and show would have its own strengths and weaknesses. As Succession is a corporate family drama, it cannot rely on big action scenes or innovative sets. With the absence of such visual elements, it is a challenge to hold viewers. However, Succession manages to do so by focusing on one area: characters. From the beginning, we can see that the characters take the majority of the screen time, and it is majorly spent on five characters. Each of these characters provides such rich context surrounding the company and their family dynamic. Here, their dialogue is what leads us to our conclusion. In analyzing what each character brings to the story, we can understand how impactful the writing was. Firstly, let's start with Logan Roy. He is the main face behind the multi-billion-dollar company called the Waystar Royco. He is both the founder and the chairman of this company, a titan in his industry, and a formidable force of nature. But this is not how he is introduced to us. In fact, he is shown at his worst, as a sickly old man that does not have an understanding of his surroundings and humiliates himself. He also seemed to be disoriented and does not remember who he was at that point. Here, with just a few minutes, the writers completely conveyed the theme of this episode: crisis. The company is big in name and highly regarded, but the man behind is in decline. This also relates to the actual state of the company and their massive debts, which was revealed in the later episodes. Following this, we get a scene of Kendall Roy, who is the second son of Logan Roy. He is introduced to us in the back seat of a car singing along to a song. The funny way that this is directed is that when the music cuts off and his actual voice plays, it sounds lame and off. This scene shows us how Kendall is phony and is pretending to be the strong, badass character. But take away that mask, and he is weak and does not have the strength or the mindset to lead the company. To add to that, he comes to a meeting with Lawrence Yee after that, and this scene does the exact same thing. When he talks to Lawrence in this meeting with the other members involved, it seems like Kendall is out of touch for sure, but it also seems like Lawrence is a bit intimidated by him. But once he goes and talks to Lawrence alone, we realize that he is not intimidated by Kendall at all. It shows that all the intimidation comes from the last name he carries. Here we also set up for the primary conflict in this episode. When we realize that Kendall is set up to step up to the position of chairman, we can already feel that there's a disconnect between what should happen and what is. In the next few minutes, we also get introduced to Roman Roy, who is younger to Kendall. He is introduced as a person who likes to clown around and make people uncomfortable. With his entrance to the office, he evokes some unpleasant reactions from those in the company, which leads us to the conclusion that he has a history here. But unlike Kendall, Roman seems very confident. He does not seem to care about people's reactions and often looks like he likes getting a rise out of people. But he comes across as someone that cannot bring support to himself due to his unlikable nature. With both these scenes, we see that the children of Logan are both very much involved with the company but does not have the full capability to run the show. Both of them seem unlikable at first, even though that slowly changes throughout the episode. The third child of Logan that we are introduced to is Shiv. Here we can see some difference in them. For one, from the very first scene, she looks confident but not cocky. She is accompanied by her boyfriend, who seems to be meek and timid. By reducing his command, we can already see that this one has power. What is more is that she controls her boyfriend without having to outwardly express any aggression. Here we get a clear idea as to how skilled she is in manipulating and using people. It is only hinted, but it is apparent. Furthermore, she is the person that seems most separated from the business, which makes us question why. Even though she seems capable and apt for the business, she seems uninterested. The fourth character that we pay attention to is Greg Hirsch, who is a distant relative to Logan Roy. We can see that he is an addict and cannot seem to get his life together. He is seen as being bullied by everyone around him, including children, which makes us lose respect for him as a viewer. Throughout the episode, we can see that Greg hangs on to Logan as though he's a lifeboat, which shows us his desperation and determination to change his life around. These introductory scenes build up slowly to the main event when all these elements clash and collide. And that event is Logan Roy's 80th birthday. This was supposed to be an easygoing celebration where the crown is passed down to Kendall from Roy, but the story completely changes from this moment. Here, Roy explains to his children that he will not be stepping down from his position, completely blindsiding Kendall. Now, this scene is so wonderful in showcasing how this family is run. Logan would always prioritize his business over his family, and even within the family, the relationship is not necessarily good. I mean, in the first part of the episode, we can see that everyone is preparing to come to this event. This would make us believe that this is a tight knit family. However, when Logan separates his children from the rest of his guests, we see just how strained their relationship is behind closed doors. We see that his children cannot have their opinions told to him with complete honesty, and they all in secret despise many qualities of his. Following this, we can see just how furious Kendall is, and here we can see the depth of his insecurity. Throughout the episode, he is the only one seeking his father's approval, but is the one that was stabbed in the back. We also understand that he was an addict, and that resulted in him having to seek treatment. This sets up how Kendall is often prone to making bad judgments and falling into unhealthy habits. He is unable to control himself and is extremely emotional, unlike his siblings. In addition to that, we can see how Logan does not settle for just the win. No, he completely destroys Kendall. Logan, in some way, believes that this tough lesson is what Kendall deserves and puts him in his place. Logan repeats the line, "Are you gonna hit me?" as a way of establishing power and dominance. Through this, he proves to Kendall that Kendall is weak and does not have the power to lead the company. This event helps us understand why season 1 ended the way it did, because no matter what, Kendall has always been looking for Logan's approval. Respect from his father was more important than having a loving relationship with him. To prove his strengths, he overcompensates and makes one bad choice after another. However, it does not end there. The scene ends with Logan getting annoyed when Kendall says that the world is changing. Here, even Logan comes off as insecure and afraid of the fact that his reign is ending. But this is not quite because he likes power. His frustration is based on principle. He cannot see his children growing weak and incapable. He wanted a true successor, and that is most like him. But this was out of control at this point. He blames Kendall for being weak by taunting him whether he was going to cry. This is how we understand how Logan truly is. He is a dominant patriarch that believes in his philosophy of survival of the fittest. He does not feel emotional when humiliating or hurting his family if it means that they are able to grow strong. After this emotional roller coaster, we get to the dining scene, which really calms everything down. They all eat together as though there were no betrayals or threats that just happened before. They have the facade of a family, but their relationship is not clean or healthy in any manner. Following this, they play a game, and here Logan expertly crafts a plan to bring all his children under the company. By doing so, he is essentially opening up the playing field. As a nice wordplay, the scheming and the manipulation for the series starts with Logan saying, "Let's play the game." Here, another interesting thing that happens is the home run incident involving Roman. Here we can see clearly how much of a PR nightmare he is to the royal family. In addition to that, this makes the viewer question Logan's decision to bring him in, and also helps us understand how rotten every single person within this family is. Roman seems careless, and in order to make this happen, Logan sacrificed one of his most loyal men. This really shows us the desperation in Logan's mind. This all culminates to why he gets a stroke at the end of the episode, when we learn that his children may be playing him as well. This comes as a shock to him and completely ruins his plans. Now, this episode is simply perfect for this reason. It ends exactly where it starts. Logan is unwell and the company is in grave danger. There is power vacuum. We understand that none of them may be able to fill his shoes. Despite all the strategizing and scheming done by Logan in this episode, we can see that he failed. What should have been a tight knit family business is attacked by power hungry children. We see his failure as a father in keeping them loyal, and we can see that they are acting the only way they have been taught. There is no obvious successor, and everybody panics when the king falls. At its heart, this episode conveys what it takes to be the next in line and how that pressure can completely warp human beings. The series is shot like a documentary, and this makes sense. These are people that most people cannot see in their day to day, and we have to look at them as though they are animals in a zoo. We are able to see from a distance how treating power and money with so much importance can make people who seem like humans not even behave like them. And with just one episode, we are already hooked onto the absurd world of Succession. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.